Rock bottom. Rock bottom is where our sins have laid us low. It is the place where there feels like so little hope. Rock bottom, there's nowhere to look but up. Rock bottom is the place where we can turn. It's where our lives can begin again, brand new. Rock bottom is where we learn to place our hope in you. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope, that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Oh Lord, help us to put our trust in you.
Today is really special because y'all get to hear from somebody besides me. I know y'all get tired of me speaking all the time, but I want to tell y'all a little bit about our guest speaker today, okay? Number one is, sadly, personally to me, is he is more of a cat lover than a dog lover. I know, so sad, so sad. Some people are cat lovers though, that's okay. But what I love about our guest speaker is that he is about to graduate high school, y'all. And the reason why I love having high schoolers speak into middle schoolers is because y'all need to understand is that age does not limit what God can do, right? Age does not limit what God can do. That's what 1 Timothy 4:12 is all about. Just because you're young, you set an example in truth, love, purity, and man, you be an example even while you're young. And so, man, I really want y'all to pay attention to our speaker today, man, because he's got some really encouraging words for you. And remember, man, to those of y'all who take the most notes, I will be buying you guys a meal today after service. So, I mean, I want y'all's ears to be open. I want your hearts to be open. Take some good notes because I believe that God's got a word for you. Everybody give it up for Jake Harris! Let's go! Come on. Let's go. I'm excited.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing today? Ignore everything that's up here. All right. Also, for those who booed me, I know who booed me, so I'll see you guys after service. I think the reason I like cats more than I like dogs is because, like, dogs can be too much sometimes. Like, they jump all over you. Small dogs? I've never met a nice small dog in my life. They're all evil. They're like, Alright. Who in here has, like, this year has gotten sick? Everyone has the flu lately. What do you guys have? You guys have, like, the flu, strep throat? Who, raise your hand if you got the flu. Raise your hand if you got a cold. Raise your hand if you got tired of school. That's everybody. Alright, so recently I've gotten something called mono, and mono is no joke. So I'm about to explain what mono is. Oh man, I don't have the internet. Oh, it's a bummer. I'll just go off the top. And so mono is, what happens with mono is like it's spread by like you can drink after someone, you can eat after their food or something, and like somebody can carry mono and not have any of the symptoms of it. So they're living life to the fullest. But I actually ended up carrying mono and had the symptoms of it. So like the first week, I went to the doctor, I went home from school, I had a 102 fever. And so like I love going home from school. I don't care if I'm sick. Like even if I have like 109 fever and I feel like awful, it's still like nice to go home from school. So I was pretty happy about it. I was like, hot mom, I told you so, because I told her to go to bed. She told me like go to school anyways. And so like I felt really bad. She took me to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, he was like, you have something that's called the fake flu. And I was like, how is the flu fake? And he's like, well, you have like all the signs of the flu, but you don't actually have the flu, so we can't treat it. So you just have to tough it out. And so I know, I'm a soldier, I can tough it out. And so I tried to tough it out, and then like a week later, I was just actually getting worse. Like, my symptoms were getting worse. I was adding more symptoms. My fever was still at 102, which is pretty high for a fever, to be honest. And it got to a point where I was like, all right, let's go back to the doctor. Let's Spiro, what's wrong with you? So I had like really, really bad sore throat. See, he went to go check me for strep and mono, and he came back, he's like, you have mono. And so you guys want to know how bad mono is, I'm going to read some of the symptoms out for it. The difference, all right, hey, let me just read some of the symptoms. Fatigue, sore throat, perhaps misdiagnosed as strep throat, he tested me for that. Fever, swollen lymph nodes, if you feel your neck, everybody feel your neck right now. You should feel like a little bump. You should feel a little bump there, that's your lymph node. Those things like clean out your blood. And so like, I had like these bumps on my neck, and those are my swollen lymph nodes. And another one was swollen tonsils, so if you have tonsils, they're like back here, I think, I don't really know what they are. And headaches, so I already had headaches all the time, I got headaches. But the difference between strep throat and mono is that mono lasts for months, and strep throat lasts for a week or two. And so I was like, man, this sucks! And so for months on end, I was like having no energy. The biggest one that hit me was fatigue. So like, imagine getting up at 5 a.m., you know, doing a bunch of yard work, school work, and then like running a 5K, and then you come home, eat a Thanksgiving lunch, and then like you want to take a nap afterwards. Imagine that tired, but on a daily basis. All I wanted to do was sleep. That's about it. That's all I wanted to do. Like sooner or later in the day I had to be back to school because I missed 2 weeks of school, so I couldn't miss anymore. And it had to a point where like I only had a certain amount of energy every day. So let's say like I had an energy bar, right? Like the video game. So you have like 10 energy, like the simple stuff would take away energy, like going up the stairs, I would take 1 energy. Or stuff I thought would relax me, like stuff I went to like to go relax and stuff, that ended up taking away my energy. Like I like sat down, played video games, and like there's 5 energy right there, taken away. And it got to a point where I would have no energy and the day wouldn't even like barely begun. And so I had to be really smart about where I put my energy and where I put my effort. And everywhere I was putting my energy to, like, it was just a waste of my time, in my opinion. Like, it was just draining me. Like, school, that was just draining me. Video games, that was just draining me. Like, friends, that was just draining me. So today we're going to be talking about restoration. That's a big word. So the reason I told you that story is because everything drains me, but nothing was filling me up. All right, so we're going to, my bottom line for today is when you rest in God, you can receive restoration. Or you can find restoration. It's right up there on the screen. So we're gonna be jumping right into Jeremiah chapters 30 through 52. We're just gonna read it all today. Not really, but I'm gonna summarize it for you guys really quick. So Jeremiah was a prophet, right? So prophets, what they do is like they connect God to the people. So God tells the prophet the message, the prophet tells the people the message. And so the Israelites were committing a lot of sins. They were like, this is like, they're awful, right? They're doing like super bad things. Let me read out some things that the Israelites were doing. All right? So they worship false gods because Jeremiah 10:14 says, every man is a poor thinker and without learning. I feel that personally. I took a government quiz and I was definitely a poor thinker about that. That was awful. Everyone who works with gold is put to shame by his false god, for his objects of worship fool people. There is no breath in them. And so they worship false gods, and we just keep going on. They did acts of impurity, and they were completely ignoring the law that God gave them. And so we relate this back to our personal life. False gods, that's something like we can relate personally, right? Because I've seen a lot of people go like, oh my goodness, Israelites just mess up over and over again, and God had to correct them and forgive them. You think they would learn their lesson? Well, like, the same thing that Israelites are doing back then is the same thing that applies to us. See, sin doesn't change over time. See, sin just changes like based on the things. Like maybe their false gods were gold cows and these big wooden statues, but our false gods can end up being our phones, our computers, our games, our boyfriend, our girlfriend. Everywhere in our life, we have these false gods. Anything that takes away from God's time, anything that we put in front of God or put in, like, we have a priority list, right? Like, people we love, it's like God, my mom, my family, and you like go on, right? Anything that goes above God, anything that's above there, social media, the way we look, our insecurities, anything that's above God is what we call false idol. Let's go on to the next one. It said acts of impurity. See, now acts of impurity doesn't have to be what you think it has to be. So the covenant, the law that God gave the people, was mainly focused around like protecting 3 people. It's the homeless, the widowed, so people that don't have a husband who died, right? And there's one more, the orphaned, right? And so those who don't have parents. And so the Israelites were taking advantage of all 3 of these, using them for work, using them for slaves. Like they were completely going against what God has called them to do, which is acts of impurity. And the last one that I think relates to us the most is ignoring God's law. Now, back then they had a certain law that they had to follow in order to receive God's grace, in order to be forgiven, right? So they had to have sacrifices, and there's certain types of sacrifices. I'm not going to get into that, but God has an individual plan for each one of us. God has an individual law, an individual promise for each one of us, and a lot of us rather live our own life. See, I know me personally, like, when I was in middle school, I'd much rather live my own life than live a life with God. Because guess what? It's my life. You know, like, I'm the one that was born in it. God wasn't born for me. God, you know, God didn't do nothing for me. He didn't make me here. I do this myself. I'm the one that gets me C's, you know? I'm the one that does good in school. I'm the one that gets all my friends. Like, this is my life. What does God have to do with it? You know, whatever plan God has for my life, it can't be better than my plan. So a lot of times we take our plans and our purposes and our promises and we prioritize it over God. We make it greater than God's promises, greater than God's plan. So that is just like us taking away from the law that God has given us or the promises that God has given us. There's actually a fourth one that I think a lot of you guys are going to enjoy. So the Israelites, when they're inside the temple, right, they're like, praise the Lord. Ain't eat good, right? And they're like, hello, brother and sister, you know, like, they have the church vibe, they have the church spirit, they're out there sacrificing, they're like, God, you are good, you are good. And then directly outside the temple, I lie to you not, they have altars sacrificing children. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not saying y'all are sacrificing children or anything, but I'm saying, inside the church, they're out here loving God, but outside the church, they're sacrificing children? That doesn't make sense. How are they following God if they're only doing inside the temple? Now, in our day and age, in our lives, it's so easy to go to Wednesday nights, to go to Sunday mornings and raise our hands and answer questions and be like, oh yes, John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, you're such a good Christian. But outside, you're like, I'm doing drugs, I'm drinking, I'm having a party, right? I'm directly disobeying God. See, you cannot live two lives and say you only worship one God. So, the biggest thing is, are you guys living a life that is the same on Sunday mornings as it is on Saturday nights? I've heard a lot of people say, oh man, you should went to a party Saturday night. And I'm like, well, I have church Sunday mornings, so I think I'm okay. And they'll come to church and they'll brag to me about how they're living a completely different life. But inside church, and yeah, they know how to answer the questions for Sunday morning. Yeah, they know lots about the Bible, but you can know a lot about His Word, but still not know God. So we're going to the next thing. So that first point goes into, it says, sometimes God has to wreck your life before He restores your life. So we go into the story of Jeremiah, right? So Jeremiah has to tell these people that they're doing bad things, that they're sinning, and so he has to confront them like first. That's what we talked about Sunday. It's a confrontation. So they're confronting them. He's like, guys, you gotta change your ways or God's gonna punish you. And they're like, go ahead and punish us. Like, they did not care. They wanted to live their life. So God said, I'm gonna send a land from the north named Babylon. And Babylon's gonna come through and He's gonna destroy everything of Israel and Judah, right? And so Babylon's literally known for war, fighting, wives, everything, money, they're all about it. And they go in and they kill everybody. They do not leave survivors. So just the fact that they said Babylon's coming, and they're thinking in their head, oh yeah, Babylon doesn't leave any survivors, we're all gonna die, this is awful. And then they're still God isn't gonna do it though. What is He gonna do? See, it's funny how God uses bad people to change other bad people's lives. God uses bad things in your life. Maybe you guys have unfortunate circumstances. I don't know what's going on. Maybe your parents are going through a divorce. Maybe your friends all are ignoring you. Maybe you never had friends. Maybe you're all alone. You just feel like you're not accepted. And you're in this bad circumstance. Don't ever think that bad circumstance is only going to produce bad. See, God has intentions for every single one of your circumstances. God had intentions for Israel. God's intentions for Israel were that, they're going to be destroyed by Babylon. They're going to be captured and enslaved, and no longer their lives are their own lives and have free will, but they're Babylon's now. They're slaves. But God uses that not to just destroy their lives and make their lives miserable, but He uses it to restore their lives. Because He realized that the only way to turn from sin and to turn to God is when you need God. It's really easy to be on top of the mountain and be like, I got straight A's, I'm doing great. And then you didn't study for a test, you're like, God, please, Lord, I need your help. You are the good God Almighty. So when we're at the top of the mountains, it's so easy to do it on our own. Because, everything's going great for us. But it only takes one step to fall off the mountain. See, when we're in the valleys, we need God the most. We need Him so deep, and we need to desire Him because He's the only one that can get us out of the valleys. So God intentionally puts us in the valleys, therefore He can have promises and hope for us. Let's see if I have any more. I don't have it memorized like the back of my hand. I wish I did. Let's go to the second slide. Oh, wait. I have more. So there's two reasons why God wanted to destroy Israel. He wanted to punish Israel, and He wanted to rebuild Israel. Let's go into something. All right. Sometimes we have to be rebuilt and not repaired. Sometimes we think that we need a Band-Aid or a Tylenol to fix our problems. Like anytime like you're feeling bad, you hear like your parents are like, oh, take a Tylenol, take ibuprofen, put a Band-Aid on, rub some dirt on it, like get over it. And sometimes, yeah, my uncle used to tell me that a lot. He just rub some dirt on it. It's like that's how you get infections. But sometimes in our life, a Band-Aid or Tylenol or these quick fixes aren't going to be anything. Sometimes we have this thing in our life called sin, and sin is the cancer of us. See, anything cancer spreads to, or anything cancer touches, dies. And in the Bible it says, for the wages of sin is death. So when we're working in our sin, and we're doing our sin, our payment is death. Our payment is hell. So we're getting corrupted by sin. And Jesus and God, they don't want you to just put a Band-Aid over it, right? They don't want you to just go to church and say, oh, John 3:16, put a Band-Aid over it. Or they don't want you to go to worship like, well, I went to worship today, so, I'm good for today. See, God wants to do open heart surgery on you. He wants to take the cancer out of you and make it no more. And see, sometimes open heart surgery hurts more than just a Band-Aid. You rip out a Band-Aid, ooh, that hurt a little bit, right? And like, oh man, that stinks, I don't want to do that again. But open heart surgery, like the recovery for it, the hurt for it, the process afterwards, how you have to recover. I don't know if anyone here has sports injuries or has had sports injuries. You had to go to physical therapy, or like the first day you're like, oh, I ain't going to do this. This isn't going to work, right? But over time, it gets better. See, if you give your life to Christ, or when you give your life to Christ, you can't just be like, oh, I just got through surgery, time to get up and run a 5K tomorrow. Your life isn't going to automatically get better. It's just you're no longer doing it alone. Let's go into the second point of tonight's thing. I hope you guys are taking notes more than just points, because that's how you get Chick-fil-A, to take notes more than points. So the next point is rest in God promises. So we go in here, see that little dot, see what I did there? All right, so a lot of people say rest in God. What does that mean? And why do we rest in God? Because God has promised us so much, and God is the only one that can fill us. So we're about to get into the meat of the verses. I'm going to give you a lot of verses. So right now we're in Jeremiah 30, 1 through 3. I'm going to read it for you guys. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, write all the words which I have spoken to you in a book. For behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will restore the fortunes of my people, Israel and Judah. The Lord says, I will also bring them back to the land I gave to their forefathers, and they shall possess it. See, God made this huge promise. God's like, I'm going to destroy you, but don't worry. You're going to be all better afterwards. So God is saying, like, write this down. Tell this to the people, that even though I'm punishing them, that I will be there to restore them. I will be there to set them free from being enslaved. I will be there for them to recover and restore them. And we go on a little bit further, and God keeps going. And He says stuff like this. This is like, I was so confused when I read this. God was like, I'm going to restore you. And then He goes on to say this 2 verses later. He says, your wound is incurable. Your injury is serious. And so God then says, I'm going to restore you. And then He goes, nobody can do nothing about it. You're miserable, and you're going to be stuck there for the rest of your lives. He's like, whoa, all right? And so He goes, all lovers have forgotten you. They do not see you, for I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the punishment of a cruel one. But your iniquity is great, and your sins are numerous. Why do you cry over your injury? Because your pain is incurable. And I'm like, holy moly. God just looked at us, and sometimes we look at ourselves, and we tell ourselves, like, there's nothing we can do about our situation. There's nothing I can do about my friends. I'm just awkward. I can't talk to anybody. There's nothing I can do about my parents. There's nothing I can do about myself. There's nothing I can do about my addictions. There's nothing I can do about my idols. It's incurable, and there's nothing I can do. Well, I have something to tell you. You guys are completely right. There's nothing you guys can do. You have sin in your life, and you're literally, the moment you're born into sin. There's nothing you can do. You're just a cute little baby. Why are you born into sin? Like, how does that happen? You were destined to die. You were destined to die. You were destined to be born into sin and have a miserable death. called hell. But God doesn't stop there. God doesn't just say your wound is incurable. See, God always has a but. God loves buts. So we go on to say, therefore, all who devour you will be devoured, and your adversaries, every one of them, will go in captivity. And those who plunder you will be plundered, and those who prey upon you, I will give for prey. So that was confusing, but this is where it gets good. For I will restore you to health, and I will heal you of your wounds, declares the Lord, because they have called you an outcast, saying, it is no Zion, no one cares for her. So Zion is Israel and Judah. We have these wounds, we have these situations in our life that we cannot do. See, when we're in the valley, and when we're in the mountain, we're still in sin. But in the mountain, we're deceived, right? We're deceived that we can do it ourselves because everything is going so great around us. I don't know about your lives, but my life sometimes is like a roller coaster. I swear on my life, every week is something different. Every week, it's like I'm either down the mountain, going up the mountain, at the top of the mountain, oh, I'm at the bottom. And it goes that quickly, every week. And God can use your circumstances and change them, but no matter what, you're going to be in sin. So no matter what, at the end of the mountain, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But God says with me, those wounds we have, those situations you have, that sin that you have, I'm the healer. I'm the one that can cure it. I'm the one that can get you out of slavery. Right now, he's talking to Israel and Judah. He's like, you're going to be enslaved, right? You're going to be captured. Everything you loved and everything you owned is going to be destroyed. But I'm the only thing that matters. I'm the only thing that matters. Sometimes God takes away everything in your life just to show you that he's the only thing that matters. Let me say it again. Sometimes God can take everything away in your life to show you that he's the only thing that matters. If in the end we only live a certain amount of time, let's say you lived a good life, you lived 100 years, you're old. What was that life for? You did charities, right? You donated to charities, you ran charities, you fed the homeless, you worked at a homeless shelter, you adopted kids, you were the ideal good person. And you went to hell. How does that happen? How does that happen? See, heaven isn't decided based off the good works you do on earth. Heaven isn't decided based off of how many kids I adopt, how many homeless people I feed. Heaven is based off a choice of acceptance. See, God saw the wound that we had, and he sent his son for it. That goes into the next slide, right? Next slide. Jesus came to restore you. Now, I'm not going to be long today, and I'm sure you guys noticed I'm going through this quick, but I'm going to hit it for this real quick right now. Since we couldn't cure ourselves, and even if we're such a great person, and we still go to hell, and all those charities, and all those people that we helped out, they still go to hell, how does that happen? See, heaven isn't based off of what you do or good works. Heaven is based off of who you know. It's not about, I know Cindy, and she knows her mom, and her mom goes to church. It's about the one person you know. And the Bible, Jesus says, no one comes to the Father except through me. See, Jesus is the only way we get to heaven. But Jesus isn't the only way we get to heaven. He isn't just that. He's the only way we can find joy. He's the only way we can find fulfillment. He's the only way we can get out of this circumstance with joy. He's there for us. He is with us. And he's there to restore us, right? A lot of you guys right now are giving so much energy to something that is draining you. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a toxic friendship, something that just drains you. Maybe you're putting your time into an addiction. Maybe you're putting your time to a video game, social media, a TV, and it's just draining you and draining you and draining you. And you're like, I'm so tired. I'm working so hard and I'm not getting any results. I don't get it. But Jesus says, I'm here. You don't have to try. You don't have to do these things. You just have to follow me. You have to believe in me. See, Jesus went up on the cross. He lived a perfect life. He went up on the cross. He took upon all the sins that we've done, are doing, and will ever do. And he died for us. But see, there's only one thing in life that can stop us. And that's death. You can be the most healthy person in the world, and you can die, and it's over. But Jesus defeated the two things that we can never defeat on our own. He defeated sin, and he defeated death. See, on the third day, Jesus rose again. He conquered death. He conquered the things that we couldn't conquer. The things we physically and mentally and spiritually we couldn't conquer. And right now, some of you guys are in a situation and you're like, there's nothing Jesus can do. There's nothing God can do. But if God can conquer death for you, something that you can actually never do, He can easily conquer any situation, any circumstance, any depression, any anxiety, any addiction. He can conquer it for you. See, I feel like sometimes we're trying too hard to fill our life, fill our hole with things that aren't Jesus, things that don't matter. Here, I got a little representation. Who here loves like woodwork? Goes to like wood shop or whatever? You guys have wood class? You guys like it? You guys like it? No? I'm not the most handy man, but I can tell you right now. So, what do you use for a screw? A screwdriver. What am I using right now? Let's see how it works.
I don't know how this works.
I try to hammer in the screw into this wood, and it's literally not going anywhere. See, in our lives, we're trying to force things into our lives. We're trying to force good things. We're trying to force friends. We're trying to push it in our life, and we're like, God, why isn't this working? Now let's try the nail. See, the nail was intended for the wood. See, oh, this is stuck. Oh, there we go. In our lives, Jesus was intended for us. Jesus died for us so that He can have a personal relationship with us, and He can live life with us. Your life might be hard, and your situation might be hard, and your situation never may end. But you are not alone in it. You do not have to have sadness or depression in it, but you can have joy in your circumstances. Because Jesus is there with you. So we put it in right. We realize that the things that we're trying in our life were never fitting. The things that we're intentionally doing in our life weren't working. But when you have Jesus in your life, it fits perfectly. See, Jesus was meant for you. He was sent on this earth so that He can die for you. And when I say you, I'm not talking about the audience. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you personally. He knew who you were, and He knew what you were going to do, and He still died for you. Now, as we wrap up, I just want to leave you on a couple things. Heads bowed, eyes closed.